The Right Side with Doug Billings.
I'm proud to have you here on the program, and I'm grateful. Thank you very much.
Well, look, I'm proud to be on your program. Keep doing what you're doing. We need voices like yours speaking the truth rather than what the media is doing out there. Shows like yours, I appreciate you, and please keep spreading the truth. We support you, and the American people need to know the truth.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. A big day for me here on the program. Tom Homan, the border czar, the director of ICE, right here on this show today. Folks, he has broken the world record in the United States for the amount of deportations in any given year, and we're only in month 10 of his and Trump's administration. There's something else that's not spoken about very often, if at all, in mainstream media, and that is almost 2 million people have self-deported on the government's dime, mind you, flying back to their home countries, given proper paperwork and instruction about how to enter the country legally. That's the way to do it. If ICE and Tom Homan's agents find you, you cannot return. And no matter what election results you watched on Tuesday, nothing will stop ICE. No sanctuary city, no mayor, nothing. They will come and they will remove the illegal immigrants. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got to be a nation of law and order. You can't take advantage of a system and circumvent other people who have done what is legally required to be here. Tom Homan, ladies and gentlemen, my interview coming up right now on The Right Side. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
About it, and there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Homan, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you doing, Doug?
Hey, it's good to see you again. And we were down in McAllen, Texas together a couple of years ago, and I want to know what you think, Tom. The radical left liberal agenda, all about purposeful chaos. We saw it at the border. Their number one agenda seems to be chaos, whether it's the border, whether it's not prosecuting criminals with extreme prejudice, and then trying to impede what you and your team are doing. I mean, there's no other conclusion we can draw than it's purposeful.
Oh, of course it's purposeful, but the bottom line is we got the most secure border in the history of the nation today. Most secure we've ever had because, President Trump's leadership and the executive orders he issued and the men and women of the United States Border Patrol doing the job, actually enforcing the law and ending catch and release. I mean, it's a game changer. So now that we have the most secure border in my lifetime, most secure border ever, we're concentrating on the millions of people that were released illegally in the United States under the Biden administration. And we're out there across the country, over 1,000 arrest teams every day across the country. And of course, the left's they're losing their minds. And I think a lot of it is, I've been doing this since 1984. We're not doing anything different now than we've done the last 4 decades in the interior, other than the last 4 years. There was no immigration enforcement. So, everybody's shocked. And I think the bottom line is the left's losing it because we're ruined their plans. Their plans is to release millions of people into the United States illegally to sanctuary cities. They'll be counted the next census, and we add more seats for the Democrats in the House. They think they're going to be future Democratic voters. There's a reason they released them rather than detain them, because they released them, their hearings are 7-8 years out. And by then, maybe the Democratic administration comes back into power and awards amnesty to 10 million people.
Yeah.
And add the 15 million that's already here. It's over 20 million people. So they're upset because we're removing and arresting at record numbers, and we're going to keep doing it, regardless of the hate, regardless of the threats against ICE. We're going to be out there every day doing what President Trump promised the American people, making this country safe again, starting with criminal illegal aliens.
Well, you're clearly one of the favorites. The people love what you're doing. They love your no nonsense approach. And yeah, you're at record numbers. The more deportations this country has ever seen, focusing on the criminal element first. Every illegal is a criminal. I mean, we have to that's what the radical liberal, their heads explode. You have Juan or Ahmed, who are by all practical and observable characteristics, they're good citizens, Doug. Come on, Tom. The guy works at 7-Eleven. So what? He's here illegally. My contention on this show is exactly what you've been doing. we're going to get rid of the criminals first, the child traffickers, the rapists, the murderers. We're going to certainly focus on them. But yes, there's going to be a day where Juan, the guy who works at 7-Eleven, has got to go. And reasonable illegal immigrants have taken you up on your offer of self-deporting and on the government's dime, going back and getting in line and doing it the right way.
Yeah, several studies have been done in recent months saying over 1.5 million have left on their own. Because look, one of the reasons we have the most secure border in the history of this nation, again, because of President Trump's leadership and the men and women of the Border Patrol, is because what ICE is doing every day across the nation. We're sending a message to the whole world. It's not okay to enter this country illegally. It's a crime. And whether you show up in court or don't show up in court, you get an order removal, we're looking for you. So I think 1.6 million people decided rather than be formally deported, I'll leave my own and maybe take advantage of a legal program down the road, because if we have to find you and deport you, you're never coming back.
Right.
So I think we send a strong message. And look, you said exactly right. We will prioritize a public safety threat to illegal aliens. But I said from day one, just because we prioritize a subset doesn't mean everybody else is off the table. If we find you during our operations, you're in the country illegally, maybe not a public safety threat, you're coming too. And I think that message across the globe is one of the reasons less people are putting themselves in harm's way, giving the cartels their life savings to come to a country where they're not going to be released, never seen again. So we're going to keep doing this. And you know, again, despite all the rhetoric, despite the hate, despite the increase in threats, ICE is going to be out there today. They're going to be out there tomorrow. They're going to be out there every day, keeping President Trump's promise.
Thank you, Tom. It's what we voted for, and polls are obvious. 70% of Americans support what you're doing, what President Trump's agenda is with regards to this issue. And given yesterday's elections, I can only imagine the kind of pushback that you're going to begin to get renewed again in places like New York, Virginia, New Jersey, California, all of the usual, you know, Chicago, the usual places. But you are you're undeterred, and you're going to move forward, and so is your team.
Matter of fact, I was just asked by the media 30 minutes ago my opinion on what happened in New York City. I said my response was nothing changes. We're going to keep doing these operations, and bottom line is, as I said for months, we are going to flood the zone of sanctuary cities. If sanctuary cities does not want to give us access to the criminal alien public safety threat and the safety and security of a county jail, where it's safer for the alien, safer for the agent, and much safer for the community. If they want to keep releasing them, okay, then we're going to go into the community and find them after release them. And when we find them, many times they're with others who aren't public safety threats, but they're in the country illegally, where they're coming too. So sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want: more agents in the community and more collateral arrests, because you are forcing us into those communities. So I said from day one, all these additional resources we're bringing on, we're flooding the zone of sanctuary cities, because that, we know there's a problem there. We know they're releasing public safety threats every day. So we're going to send the men and women of enforcement to the places where the biggest problem is, the biggest threat, both public safety threat and national security threats. That's where we're going to flood the zone.
That's what we want to hear. And Tom, you know, evidence of the obvious is sufficient for me. We saw the open borders under Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris. They flood the country. Two primary goals. Obviously, they thought that these people could become part of their electoral base and new voters for them. Secondly, and probably more frightening, they want to dilute the very identity of America. We see it happening in Germany, France, Italy, etc. And then finally, there are people in this country, and this is not a fear monger. I'm not trying here to scare, I'm trying to tell the truth. There are people in this country who want to do us harm. And so how are you going after those folks, working in tandem with Kash Patel over at FBI, Pam Bondi in the Department of Justice? Because we know there are people here who want to cause a mass casualty event. They're here to hurt us.
Well, you're exactly right. And I said from day one under the Biden administration, by opening that border up, they created the biggest national security failure I've seen in this nation. Because we know for a fact 2.1 million, over 2 million people are known gotaways. That means they're captured on drone traffic, video traffic, sensor traffic, crossing the border, but they weren't apprehended. They weren't vetted. They weren't fingerprinted. They got away. Over 2 million people. Now, why did 2 million people pay more to the cartels to get away? Why didn't they just pay a lower fee, turn yourselves into a green uniform, get released within 24 hours, get flown to the city of your choice, get a free hotel room, get 3 meals a day, free medical care, and work authorization in 90 days? Why did they not take advantage of the free giveaway program for less money? Right. They'd rather pay the cartels more money to get away. That should scare the hell out of everybody. It does me. Why do they pay more to get away? Because they didn't want to be fingerprinted. They didn't want to be vetted. We know for a fact under Trump 45, we had a total of 14 people on terrorist watch that's crossed the border that were arrested by Border Patrol. We went from 14 to over 400 under Joe Biden 4 years. So if we arrested 400, how many of that 2 million, 2.1 million came from country-sponsored terror? If people think it's zero, then they're an idiot. So we know there are national security threats that cross this border. So that's why we're working very closely with the Bureau and the intelligence community, trying to figure out who these people are and where they're at. That's one of the reasons President Trump came up with great thinking on these operations across the country. It's not just ICE, and it's just not ERO and HSI and Border Patrol. It's all of government. We have ATF out there. We have DEA out there. We got FBI out there. You got all these other organizations under DOJ with us to do these operations. So if we find an alien that's a national security threat, FBI can take that for further investigation, prosecution. And if we find an alien in possession of a firearm when we arrest them, then ATF can take that prosecution before we deport them. You find them with dope, DEA can prosecute that before we deport them. President Trump's idea of the all of government on this interior enforcement operation isn't just about illegal immigration. It's about public safety threat and national security threat. So we're working shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, FBI every day across the country on this.
You bring up the cartels, and I can't help but recall what I saw in McAllen, Texas, and across the border when I met you those couple of years ago. You brought up and we talked about, and I've talked about it on this show. The liberals are famous for saying that we destroy human dignity. Republicans are destroying human dignity as they try to capture and round up these people, when in fact, to your point, we give them free food, housing, lodging, medical care, and attention while they wait to be self-deported or while we try to get them taken out of the country. However, what the liberals fail to mention, paying the cartels, Tom, no one coming up through our southern border touched U.S. soil unless they paid the cartels. And then you have the abhorrent, the absolutely horrific reality of these, what they're called rape trees, where as a sign of trophy, they throw the undergarments and clothing of victims up in trees. And it was horrific what the Biden administration let happen to these human beings by encouraging them to traverse up through the southern border. Absolutely horrible.
Well, look, you're exactly right. That's one of the things I talk about all the time. They say the Trump administration, the Trump policies, President Trump, Tom Homan, we're racist. We're inhumane in what we do. And I just, here's the facts. Under Joe Biden, over 10.5 million people use their life savings to give it to the criminal cartel to come to the border. Nonpartisan groups have done studies say 31% of women who make that journey through the cartels get sexually assaulted. They get raped. If 31% of women admitted it, how many actually get raped? And, we know that not just women, but children. I've talked to girls as young as 9 that were raped multiple times by the cartel as part of the feed to cross the border. So under Joe Biden, it says humane policy, open borders. Well, a record number of aliens died making that journey. Over 4,000, a historic record, died making that journey. 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl overdoses, an historic number. So record number of Americans, record number of aliens were dying during the Biden administration. Under Trump, we're right now 96% decline in immigration. 96% decline, which means 96% less people are coming. How many women aren't being raped? How many children aren't being sexually assaulted? How many aliens aren't dying making that journey? How many pounds of fentanyl is not getting into the country, which is saving lives? How many no-inspected terrorists aren't getting in this country? President Trump's policies are saving thousands of lives every week. So it's much more humane to have a secure border. Secure border saves lives. Even the border wall, which people attack every day, not only does we have the data shows every place you put a border barrier up, less illegal immigration flow, less illegal traffic with drugs come through. but it saves lives because the most vulnerable, the women and children, can't get over that wall, which means they're going to a place where there's not a wall. And what's waiting on them? The men and women of the Border Patrol is going to deal with a humanitarian crisis. So President Trump's policies are much more humane than Biden's policy. We prove it every day.
100%. And, it just makes me, it infuriates me. And it harkens back to, this purposeful chaos that the radical liberal move. And by the way, that radical liberal element of what was once known the Democrat Party, Tom, I don't even believe the Democrat Party exists anymore. They blended this communism and socialism nonsense together. The Communist Socialist Party, clearly not a pro-America political party. You cannot be by encouraging this. And it harkens back to Obama when he said America needs to be fundamentally transformed. I knew it then. That was the most anti-American statement a president or anyone could have made. And that's what they're trying to do. Fundamentally transform America away from the divine providence of God, away from the founding fathers' intent, and from law and order. I'll give you the last word here as we got about a minute and a half or so left.
Well, bottom line, I can't disagree with you. They're trying to destroy the America I grew up in, that you grew up in. I grew up, people respected law enforcement. They were the good guys. Now we're in a situation where Democrats want to make law enforcement the bad guys and those criminals the victims. And I want to end with this. People that say, the people that aren't criminals, why are you arresting someone that's been here 10 years? Because it's not okay to enter a country legally. It's a crime. And they cheated the system. Millions of people putting themselves in the front of the line, cheated the system, over millions that are standing in line, taking their tests, doing their background investigations, paying their fees, and being part of the greatest nation on earth. So when people say these poor illegal aliens are not criminals, why are you arresting them? Because they cheated. They cheated the system, and they displaced millions of people who are doing things the right way. Same with asylum. 90% of the asylum claims under Biden are fraudulent. Meanwhile, there are thousands of people in this world who really are escaping fear and persecution from their home government because of race, religion, political affiliation. They're sitting in the back of the bus because the asylum fraud and the cheaters. We're going to enforce the law. By enforcing the law, it makes this country safe again. And we're going to keep President Trump's promise to have the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen. And by every illegal alien criminal we arrest, makes your neighborhood safer. And we're going to keep going. We just got started, 10,000 more agents coming on. If you think we've done good this past year, you wait to see what next year looks like.
We've only just begun, Tom. We're only 10 months in, and you've already set the record for deportations. Listen, God bless you. Be safe. You have the majority of an entire republic behind you. And we are I'm proud to have you here on the program, and I'm grateful. Thank you very much.
Well, look, I'm proud to be on your program. Keep doing what you're doing. We need voices like yours speaking the truth rather than what the media is doing out there. Shows like yours, I appreciate you, and please keep spreading the truth. We support you, and the American people need to know the truth.
Thank you, Tom. We'll be in touch. God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Homan.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, Doug Billings. Hey, my good friends at EMP Shield, that's electromagnetic pulse, in case you're from Raytown, Missouri. Electromagnetic pulse could wipe out your home electrical system, could wipe out your vehicle. And thanks to the radical liberal agenda that was put forth under Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris, there are lots of people in this country who want to do us harm. And maybe an EMP device would be their chosen weapon. But EMP Shield gives you a device that can protect you. This little baby here goes on your home outlets, a computer, a router, whatever you want to protect. And then they also have a larger model like this. You can still hold it in the palm of your hand that goes on your vehicle battery so that you can get out of trouble from point A to point B. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug, ladies and gentlemen. Save yourself. Save your property. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug. We're in this together, folks. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.